What's going on, guys? It's Steph, man, back here with another video to go ahead and tell you everything that happened in the world of Apple this week. This week, Apple had their October event, the last event they had in the last month. The last one was in September to bring out the new iPhones, Apple Watch, and so on and so forth. And this month's event, man, what did they do? They brought out a lot of heat to this event, and I'm here to tell you about the good, the bad, the ugly, and the parts you just need to fast forward to, man. So with that said, let's go ahead and get this video started, and thank you all for tuning in. Let's get it. So to start off the event, Apple had a really cool intro as they normally do. This one had a young man in the garage making some beats of everything that he had around his garage. He had some old school Macs, Siri's voice, this noise that it makes when you get the notifications, the messages, the ringtones, and so on and so forth. So it was really cool to be able to put all that together. And of course, you only can do all that stuff if you do it together on a Mac, right? Using Logic and Final Cut Pro. Just kidding, man. But this event was super cool, and they started us off with that. Next, they went right into music. So they have a new subscription plan. If you're already on the Apple One plan, or if you're already listening to your music via Apple Music, you know, you have the family plan, the individual plan, and now they have what's called the voice plan, where you can use you know whose voice, Siri's voice, to be able to get all of your music in one place just via the voice. This is a way to be able to bring you in. Maybe that $9.99 plan could have been on the little high-end side, as you see some of the other competitors out there at the lower end. So they're trying to get all those other consumers to come back to Apple, or to come to Apple with this lower Siri plan at the $4.99. We'll have to wait and see what the numbers really bring on that to see if that actually worked for them as they were doing it. Now, the part that I think that you can fast forward through, please don't fast forward through my video, but I think one of the things you could have fast forwarded to is the next thing they brought out on the docket were HomePods. So I love my HomePod. We have several of them at the house, but this was the HomePod Mini. They didn't revolutionize, revolutionize this one in any way, shape, or form. What they did is they just brought it out in 3 new colors. You had the yellow, orange, and blue. Notice this quote that they said: yellow, orange, and blue. It's bold, fun, and adds a pop of color and personality to any space. The HomePod Mini is already a great product. The color scheme does not matter whatsoever. Most of the people I know are getting it in either the all white, so you can do the dual setup with your HomePods to get that spatial audio, or they were doing the dual black, so you can get that surround sound type sound. Adding these additional colors really won't do anything, but it would be fun for people to add for this upcoming holiday season. And Apple's really ahead of the game by being able to do that. I'm perfectly happy with my Michael Jackson setup. Doesn't matter if you're black or white, because we have 2 white ones, 2 black ones, and then I have the original huge HomePod at home. So it's really cool to see Apple bring this to the table. Didn't do anything extra. You already had all the features that you needed within the original HomePod and the 2 HomePods already. So it was really cool to see that, you know, you didn't really need anything extra with these, but they already had them set for you to go in the yellow, orange, and blue. So the question we leave for you is, which color are you going to get? Are you going to stick with the OG space gray or white, or are you going to get with the yellow, the blue, or the orange? So it'd be cool to see. You know, leave it comments in the section below and tell me which color you're going to get. If you're not going to get them and you're totally satisfied and happy with the original OG HomePod that you have, or the HomePod Minis in the white or the space gray. So one of the other things they dropped in this October event was something that I was really looking forward to, which was the brand new AirPods. Now, these aren't the Pros or they aren't the Maxes, but they are their brand new entry-level gateway into AirPods. So the OG AirPods have been stepped up to a whole nother level to kind of reflect like the AirPods Pros, right? They don't have the silicone ear tips and they don't have the active noise cancellation, but these things still hit at $179, which is a really good deal, and I'll be reviewing those when they come out next week. Some of the things they talked about with these brand new AirPods was that they have the 3rd generation spatial audio, which of all Apple products, they've started adding that in there with the iPad Pro we got right here, the 13 right here. You'll see that spatial audio and be able to feel like that surround sound everywhere you go. They added the force sensor touch over on the AirPods, kind of like how you just touch the tap and then you'll double tap again to change the song and so on and so forth. So they added that to them. And then they added something new that I had never heard of, which is a low distortion driver to be able to provide powerful bass and crisp, clean, high frequency. What does that mean? It means that you're not sounding like when you're talking to that other person on the other end, sounding like one of the Charlie Brown parents or something like that. So they have the crisp and clean audio. I'll be able to test these out for you all when they drop next week to see if that Apple really holds up to what they were saying. They're talking about 30 hours of battery life on these things. I'll be honest with you, I don't know what my particular battery life is with the AirPods Pro, but I love it, man. Sometimes I forget to charge these for days on end, and I never get that do that it's about to die or anything like that. I have got it before after weeks of not charging them, but these things really hold their charge, as well as the Maxes right here. So they're talking about 30 plus hours. I'll have to test that out for you guys and let you know if Apple really holds up to it. I know they probably have tested this out a year or so before they even drop these on us. So I know it's probably going to hold up to it, or at least get dangerously close to where it's at. And then one of the other things that they finally added to it was the ability to be able to add MagSafe for these particular AirPods. With these right here, I just throw them on I was going to say the Air Power. The Apple did never release that. Sorry, Apple, no Air Power. But be able to drop these on my MagSafe charger or on a MagSafe pad, and they just charge instantly. So Apple added MagSafe power to these particular AirPods, and we're gonna have to see how that turns out. Really looking forward to it when those drop next week for $179. Now let's talk about what the star of the show really was when it came to this October event. They could have sent these to us in an email regarding the HomePod, the AirPods, and the $499 voice plan. I'm pretty sure you all weren't even listening when I talked about the advantages of the $499 voice plan, because I wasn't listening to that part either. The star of the show, as usual at the October event, is usually iPads, but they did that already this year. The star of the show was none other than the brand new MacBook Pros. Before we even got a chance to see what the MacBook Pros was, this unified body design and everything else, they talked about these incredible chips that they created. Now, last year's model, which is completely obsolete, right? Last year's model, M1, has just got blown out of the water in terms of specs when we got these brand new chips that Apple have designed. Ever since Apple has done their own silicon, they started this process about 2 years ago and then brought it to us last year to replace all of the Intel Macs so that they're their own creator for their silicon. We've seen the Macs run a lot smoother, a lot faster, and been able to handle graphics intense type capabilities if you're using Adobe, or if you're using Adobe Premiere, or if you're using any type of software to be able to make movies or edit your videos or photos and things like that. These brand new MacBooks that they've come out with have 2 new chipsets that allow you to be able to do these graphic intense tasks even faster. So the first one is going to be the M1 Pro chipset, which is the 200 gigabytes memory bandwidth and the 32 gigabytes of unified memory. Man, these things are ultra beast. It's the 10-core CPU, up to 70% faster than the previous generation M1, which was already a beast of a computer, and it was blazing fast. This thing is supposed to be able to handle graphics intense things such as running Final Cut Pro or Adobe Premiere just like that at the snap of a button. You'll be able to see running those high intense graphics tasks that will take care of everything, and we'll be able to see how fast you're able to go. You can get up to the 16-core GPU on this thing, and it's rocking Apple's new ProRes. Now, what is that? It's Apple's way of being able to allow for multiple streams of video to come through on a device. For instance, running high res or ProRes, 4K and 8K, you'll see how blazingly fast that you're able to do that. Now with the 16-inch, they talked about the M1 Max. They made a whole other deal to it. So it was like they dropped the max on them, you know what I'm saying? So with the M1 Max, you'll get up to the 400 gigabytes of memory bandwidth and a 64 gigabyte unified memory. Still running the same 10 core, but this one you can upgrade up to 32 core CPU. Bigger, better, faster, and all of these chipsets definitely support the new Max. So you wanted it, you've been begging for it, and Apple was like, we're gonna give it to you. The entire gusto. Now, before I tell you what that is, I, for one, I have to say I love the OG M1 Mac Pro, the one that just came out last year. Doesn't seem like it's been a year already. I, for one, love the touch bar, man. I think it's super cool and super innovative. And I just like the way that you're able to use it for your task, for everything that you do, adding emojis and things like that to the mail and everything else. This year's models are more graphic and intense, and they're bringing back what everybody, besides myself, wanted, which is no touch bar, man. Back to the physical keys up at the top. They got rid of scissor, added butterfly, got rid of butterfly, added scissor. They're starting to listen to the customers, and we really, really appreciate that. Now, what they added were things that you already had in the 2018 MacBook Pro, the HDMI, the Thunderbolt 4, the SD card slot, and the headphone jack. Apple has been notorious for taking those out of everything, and now they're trying to put them back. And I think we as the consumers are starting to appreciate that. You don't have one or two, you have a total of 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports on there, and you can also use these to charge as well, which is also an added bonus. And then they brought back something that they didn't have in the last gen MacBook Pros, which was the ability to use MagSafe again. Now remember, MagSafe was just a little magnetic charger that if you tripped over it trying to chase a kid or the dog, you wouldn't be upset because it wouldn't rip the whole computer away like the OG 2008 MacBooks that fell and broke and died. And let's have a moment of silence for it. Just kidding, guys. So if you're running any graphics intense things, maybe doing some video editing, you can have your 2 displays up there while you're doing that. Or if you're running some code, you want to see how it looks like, you can do that. But with the MacBook 16-inch, the M1 Max, you can connect up to 3 Pro XDR displays and a 4K TV. Now, I don't know if you would need, 3 XDR displays, but there is someone out there who has that type of job. It's probably pretty cool that allows them to be able to do that. So drop me a line, and I would love to know what you do that you would need 3 XDR displays and a 4K display. Maybe if you were shooting a Hollywood movie or something like that. Now, the new MacBook Pros does bring to the table what we've seen in our iPhones and our iPads, which is the notch. So they have the notch there, but within that notch, I'm telling you, Apple has done it again. They've added something that we've been asking for as long as MacBook Pros have had cameras, which is the 1080p FaceTime HD camera in the front. So very cool. I'm very excited to be able to see that. The previous gen had the 720p. It was pretty clear, but what they added to this year's version was the F2 aperture, which allows it to look a little bit more crystal clear. It's almost like kind of like a game system upscaling it to 4K. So the better the aperture, the more crisp and clear it's going to look as far as when you're doing your FaceTime videos and things like that. So they finally added that, and then they added the 2 times better light, better low light performance. I generally don't use the FaceTime HD camera in low light, so if they say it's going to work, I'll have to test it out and see. And then the ProMotion refresh rates up to 120 hertz. So what we really wanted to know when it came to these graphics intense MacBooks is the amount of hours that we can use for video playback, right? We want to be able to watch our Ted Lasso and our other Apple shows and so many other things, Netflix and YouTube, and watching my channel, of course, things that we want to do on our MacBooks. On the 14-inch M1 Pro MacBook, you get up to 17 hours of video playback, which is really cool. I believe that's up to 3 more hours or 4 more hours from the previous version. With the 16-inch M1 Pro Max MacBook Pro, try to say that 3 times fast, you get up to 21 hours of video playback so that you can watch my channel and other shows that you love, YouTube and things like that, to be able to see what you want to watch and so on and so forth. Now, we got a lot of things that they gave us in this heat, and we really appreciate it. Apple gave a really great event, but this was for the pros. This was the MacBook event. They could have left everything else out, but this was an event for the pros or creators like myself who really want to see the best out of their Macs and so on and so forth. So with all that said, how much does it cost, right? We gave you the good, the bad. Let's get to the ugly. The 14-inch MacBook Pro with the 17 hours of video playback, the Thunderbolt ports, the HDMI, and everything else is going to set you back $19.99. So you're going to be able to get out that Apple Card and go ahead and use that and start making payments on it, right? The 16-inch MacBook Pro, the granddaddy of them all, it's going to run you $24.99. So I did some playing around just on Apple's website. You can get this thing maxed out and it'll run you $6,859 for the 21-inch MacBook Pro, or for the 14-inch MacBook Pro. For the 16-inch, I didn't even look into what the pricing would be because I was just like, oh, I can't spend $10,000 on a computer. So this was a really cool event. I would love to see what you all max these out with, or what your dream configuration would be. Please leave that in the comments below. I really appreciate you guys. And as always, thanks for checking out the channel. This has been Steph J. Vaughn with another review. And this time we were doing an Apple event, man. Something really fun, something really cool. Be sure to hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe. It's right there. You see it, it's right there. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It really helps out the channel, man. And into the next video, this has been Steph J. Vaughn, guys. Let's get it.